It's been one hell of a diabolical journey into the twisted world of supes as we near the end of the 5th and final season of The Boys. We've loved and hated and admired several characters across the seasons, but few have had more satisfying character arcs than Queen Maeve, given where she starts her journey and how things end for her. We're saying ends for her because so far there have been no signs of her in the 5th season, and many are assuming that we've already seen the last of her in season 4. But is that really the case? We can think of a few possibilities where we might see Queen Maeve return, and if that's not her character arc coming full circle, we don't know what is. That's why in this video we're going to be exploring the chances of Queen Maeve making a grand comeback and where she might be all the while. It's going to be a fun one, so let's get into it. Before we begin, let me give you a quick recap of what we've seen of her character in the show. Maeve started off as a supe in the 7, and she was easily among the most powerful supes on the team after Homelander. There have been several instances where we've seen her heroics, and unlike Homelander, she's not bogged down by her ego and insecurities. If there's been one ethical supe on the 7, aside from A-Train with his whole character arc, it's gotta be Queen Maeve, and she went out just how her fans would have wanted. During the decisive showdown featuring Soldier Boy, Homelander, and the boys, she took out Soldier Boy even as she was affected by his disastrous radioactive blast. She seemingly died, but there was a twist in store. A camera captured footage of her walking alive, even though Soldier Boy's powerful blast had taken away her superpowers. Luckily for her, this is only spotted by Annika, who reports it to Ashley, and in one of her better decisions, Ashley has the video deleted from the record to protect her anonymity and privacy. And honestly, it seems like a normal life is all Queen Maeve really wanted. She can live peacefully with her partner away from the media glare and the threats of Vought and Homelander. But true heroes don't abandon people in times of crisis, do they? Since Maeve's disappearance, things have gone from bad to worse as Homelander's oppressive regime has now taken control of the entire country. He effectively controls everything, and the dissidents face death, or fates much worse than death. The Starlighters and the boys are probably the only considerable threats to this tyranny, and even they might be counting their days now that Homelander has seemingly taken V1, which will make him immune to the supe-killing virus. If you ask us where Maeve's been this whole time, our first guess would be that she left the country because that would be the smartest thing to do. She wouldn't want to stick around and let Vought discover her existence because she knows too much about Vought and Homelander for them to let her live. Even worse than that, her partner Elena would be at risk as well. However, even though she's away, we're sure she's hearing all about the chaos that's going on in her country. Wouldn't this situation spiraling out of control prompt her to return and try to end what she was once a part of? We're not denying that there's a major possibility that we won't see Maeve at all for the rest of the series and her story has been closed out, but even from the perspective of the showrunners, we think they know all about her popularity among fans, and it might make a grand finale even better if she plays a key role. Also, it would be a huge surprise because so far, her appearance has been kept under wraps. So how might Maeve appear and what would her role be in the story? Well, the first thing to consider here is that she no longer has superpowers. Without her powers, she wouldn't stand a chance even against the weakest supe fighting for Homelander, let alone the likes of Soldier Boy and Homelander himself. Also, from what we've seen so far, it seems that Soldier Boy has had a change of heart, and now he's allied with Homelander, even handing him the V1 that would effectively make him immortal. The only chance that Queen Maeve would have to make an impact is to get her hands on some V1 or even some good old-fashioned compound V. With V1, there can be some adverse side effects, but given that Soldier Boy and Homelander have been able to withstand those effects, we're hopeful that Maeve would be able to do the same as well. After all, she's nearly as strong as them, even though they're clearly superior in terms of raw power. There are two ways that we can imagine Maeve making a comeback. One of them involves her disastrous experience with Homelander, where they attempted to save a hijacked aircraft. Homelander let the plane crash without even attempting a serious rescue act, and Queen Maeve is the only living witness who was there that day. The video footage of this fateful flight was exposed at the start of Season 5, and Homelander claimed before the public that the footage was doctored and AI generated, but Queen Maeve's testimony could change that. It would be a decisive moment, and it would turn public opinion against Homelander, especially especially at a time when he's trying to sell his image as a new god. Also, she has to be allied with the boys at some point because this alliance will hold her in good stead. Kimiko, Starlight, and a superpowered Butcher would be handy fellow soldiers as they take on the might of Homelander's forces. One of the biggest reasons we're still hopeful for a Maeve comeback is because it doesn't seem like she ever got her redemption yet. Willingly or not, she's unfortunately been a huge part of a superhero group that's done some seriously questionable things over the years. Maeve herself was threatened and abused multiple times by Homelander, who made her live in fear of her partner. This could be Maeve's chance to settle scores and prove to the world that she's the only true superhero out there. Plus, it would be a nice touch if she knew about another secret stash of the V1, because if Bombsight had just the one sample with them, it's pretty much done for now. The boys desperately need to get their hands on the V1 as well in order to have a fighting chance against Homelander, and who better than Queen Maeve to get it for them? If she does reappear, we'd also be curious to see how her relationship with Billy Butcher works out this time. Granted, she now has a stable partner, but we all remember the passionate and steamy affair between her and Butcher back in the day. One could argue that the perfect ending for Maeve's journey is that she gets to live the life that she always craved. She can be far away from the fighting and enjoy some calm and quiet, maybe even in some overseas country, but let me also remind you that if Homelander actually takes over the world or unleashes a nuclear hell on any country that opposes his supreme divine reign, nowhere in the world will be safe, and Maeve is smart enough to know that. She knows Homelander better than a lot of people, honestly, and she knows he'll never stop. This is the biggest reason that should bring her back into the fight, and wouldn't that be a treat for the fans? Overall, we think her re-entry into the narrative is going to be a fun surprise for the fans, even though the 5th season isn't hitting the highs that the show has in the past. Episode 6 was promising, and now with just 2 more episodes remaining, everyone's hoping for a fitting end to a show that's built quite a legacy. Queen Maeve helping to turn the tide of the battle and somehow being a part of the final showdown against Homelander would be a cherry on top, and we really hope that this wild speculation turns to reality. She's far too important and popular to be left out of the final season, so let us know your thoughts down below if you think Maeve should return, or if she should just enjoy her peaceful life away from all the violence and craziness that is the Homelander regime. Also, if you enjoyed this video and appreciate our efforts in making it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so we know to make more of this sort of stuff for you. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see ya in the next one. Bye for now.